Sawadee Krap and welcome to another episode here for the Funky Pod, Mindful Media and Communication. And today we're talking about something that probably happened to everybody who's tuning in, because I guess that's why you're tuning in, right? You probably can relate. You start a text message and you look at it and you're just staring at it and you're like, is it the right emoji? Is it exclamation mark, or does it feel like yelling? Just make a point, but does it feel like impolite? Oh, hey, did he, she, they, them read? Oh yeah, it's red. Why did they not reply? Or ever replayed like this conversation in your head like 100 times, convinced you said something stupid? Congratulations, this episode is for you, because it happens to me all the time as well, and we all fall into that overthinking trap quite frequently, I would say. And the problem here is that overthinking feels like control, but in actuality it destroys our ability to communicate, especially to communicate clearly. It leads to misinterpretation, anxiety, and then also to bad decision making in relationships, whether it be romantic, social, professional, whatever, right? So we make bad decisions because we overthink. And as always, I'm bringing a few media and communication theories along to explain why this is happening and how we hopefully can avoid it. And one of the older theories that we have in communication studies is called the uncertainty reduction theory. I'm going to just call it URT now, okay? So the URT suggests that humans have the fundamental need to reduce uncertainty in social interactions. But that's the definition. And I think we all can understand that, right? If you communicate with someone, you want to take away uncertainty. If you don't know what someone thinks or feels, we try to analyze, we try to predict their behavior so that there's less uncertainty. But the problem is, if we don't have concrete, specific information, instead of knowing what they mean, we invent meaning instead. We think we know, but we don't. And this then leads to overthinking, overanalysis. Worst case scenario thinking is a term that we use in communication studies. And that then leads to unnecessary stress, because you're thinking about all the bad things that might happen and you're freaking out and you're stressed and then you're anxious, but you don't know, so why freak out, right? But it's easier said than done, because again, humans have that need to take away uncertainty, and we do this, we try by overthinking. For example, you send a risky, not that kind of risky, you send a risky text and there's no reply for hours. Instead of assuming, hey, the other party is just busy, you spiral and you're like, did I say something wrong? Are they ignoring me? Are they ghosting me? Are they mad? What is happening? Oh my God, I didn't want this to happen. And then you spiral, right? So the key takeaway that we learn right now is, it's normal, because the human brain hates uncertainty. We just don't want to live with it. So to avoid uncertainty, we fill in the blanks ourselves. But the problem here is that our guesses, our filling in without having the information, are often wildly inaccurate, leading to stress, anxiety, and so on. And that leads me to one of the main points I want to make, how overthinking fuels anxiety and self-doubt. Okay, and there's again one more theory, actually also quite an old one. So you see, this problem has been around for quite a long time, and we call it the cognitive dissonance theory. Okay, basically translated, the mind hates contradictions. And so this theory, cognitive dissonance theory, explains how we struggle to hold conflicting beliefs. For example, you believe you're a smart, likable person. I mean, most of us think we are, right? But then someone doesn't text back, like in the example before. So you start doubting yourself. So that's now cognitive dissonance. Like this mismatch between how you see yourself and what you perceive as rejection. Yeah, instead of being rational and logical, considering external factors such as they might be busy, maybe they're working, maybe they're exercising, they're doing something else. There's so much things that can happen in life. Yeah, your brain internalizes that. Yeah, maybe they don't like me. Maybe I did something wrong. Maybe I'm not as likable as I thought. Am I a fraud? Do people hate me? Yeah, so that is a typical example of how we start to spiral and how the mind plays tricks on us. And to stick with like this example, like if you just say, hey, what's up, to someone via text, right? And then there's no response for a long time. Yeah, we start to overthink. We think like, are they mad at me? Did they misunderstand my tone? Did I use the wrong emoji? Why did I not use an emoji? I just used a question mark and not an emoji. Should I send a follow-up? But what if the follow-up makes them even more mad? Oh God, what if the last message came across as needy? Should I not follow up? Yeah, so you're going crazy. While in reality, the other party is asleep, driving, in a meeting, at work, exercising, and I just didn't see it. Like my phone goes into sleep mode like at 10 p.m. or something, and I don't get pop-ups, for example. But your brain manufactures worst case scenarios all the time. Okay? So the takeaway from this theory is that cognitive dissonance, things that don't align with what we think should be the case, makes us seek explanations. So why is there no text back? And when we don't have real answers, why is there no text back? We make them up and usually assume the worst. And that sends us down the anxiety hole, right? Also, this always assuming the worst is what we call a negativity bias. Humans always overestimate negative possibilities because of evolutionary survival instincts. Back in the day, way back in the day, we had to survive. So you always had to assume the worst to be ready to fight or run. And that's how the negativity bias came to be, so to speak. So it also explains why, for example, one bad interaction outweighs 5 good ones in your mind. You just quickly jump to the bad one because you were attacked by a bear back in the day. You're like, oh, shoot. I had 5 awesome days, but on the 6th day, the bear came. I better run and find a different place to stay. So if someone might be mad at us, our brain locks into the possibility, even if the evidence is weak. Okay? It's just like, oh, it might be, what can I do if he, she, they, them are mad? And to top that, right, to add more fuel to the fire, social media, our friend, right? The social media effect. We scroll through people's highlight reels and then compare them to our most vulnerable moments. We see their highlights while we're down. The result? You feel like we're failing while everybody's thriving. We know it's not true, of course, but in the moment, no one can tell you that. Your mind's like, look at how happy they are and how awesome it is, and look at me being all miserable. Yeah. Another real life example, your partner is being quiet. And instead of assuming they're tired, they had a long day at work, they had stuff that happened with their parents, for example, they're just tired. You start overthinking, like, did I say something wrong? Are they mad? Are they thinking about breaking up? Do they want to leave me? What did I do now? Why do they want to leave me? I thought I did everything right. No, don't leave. And we're spiraling again. And so, quick takeaway here. The simplest explanation is usually true. But overthinking turns uncertainty into like this disaster movie in our heads, right? Simple assumption would be, they're tired. Fair enough, long day, lots of work. Brain, no, that can't be it. There must be more to it. And then again, we spiral and anxiety goes through the roof. And the question now is though, why? Why do we create problems in our heads that do not exist? And again, theory incoming, okay, so our minds like patterns. Pattern recognition is very common. AI does that too, right? But our minds, they were first. So they try to find patterns. That's just how our brain works. The brain wants to find patterns to make sense of anything that happens, right? So we also try to find patterns even if there aren't. This was great for survival. Now, rustling bushes, maybe it's a bear. Oh, I'm gonna run. Okay, that was good for that. But in modern life right now, it leads to lots of false connections. So we're overanalyzing all these signals that actually aren't real signals. So we are overloaded by signals, if you will. Yeah? If someone, for example, likes your IG story but doesn't reply to your DM, what does it mean? They're just casually scrolling, like, oh yeah, it was fun, and just keep scrolling. They secretly want to date you, but they're playing mind games. They despise you, but still want to keep tabs on your life. It's probably A, but the overthinker in us jumps to B or C, right? And that happens a lot, and we call this the mind-reading fallacy. So the mind-reading fallacy just means like, we think we know what they're thinking, but in reality, what usually happens is that we're projecting our own insecurities onto them. They can't just be scrolling. They must have an agenda. No, they're just scrolling. They just want to be distracted and chill for a little bit. Okay? So the takeaway here is that, and I'm making this up now, but you get the point, that 99% of overthinking is making up stories with no evidence. We just jump to it because we think we know, we feel it, but there's no evidence that supports it. It's not, they're just chilling, they're just scrolling. That's all there is to this example, right? And so the question then, of course, is how do we stop our mind? How do we train our mind to stop spiraling all the time and to communicate better? And there's one rule that sounds very easy, but it's just so hard to do. Yeah, we call it a 5-second rule for breaking those mental loops. Now, what you could do, something happens, and then you ask yourself, will this matter in 5 years? Will this matter in 6 months even? Okay, you don't have to be like 5 years, because what really matters in 5 years? Will this matter in 6 months from now? If not, do not give it more than 5 minutes of really thinking about it. So why would you think about it for such a long time if actually it won't matter in the future? Okay. For example, yeah, like at work, you're leaving work and like, hey, on the way out, I saw the boss looking from the office. Like, did my boss look at me like weird today? Like, am I getting fired? Yeah, do I have problems at work? In reality, the boss might just have had a bad day, was just looking around to see something, was just happy to see you maybe leaving, and they're like, hey, good for you, happy that you were leaving work, not like after me for once, for example, right? So there could be so many reasons. Okay, so don't overthink it if it doesn't matter in the future. Okay, you could always also try to find better questions when you're trying to think about things. Yeah, instead of like, why did they not text me back? You could ask, what's the most probable reason? It's probably not personal. Oh. Instead of, what if I embarrass myself? You could be like, what's the worst that could actually happen? Nothing. People not reacting could be the worst thing if I do like a public speech or something, right? That's it. Nothing else would happen. Okay, so try to rephrase those questions that you're asking. And of course, one of the best things to do is to go into direct communication. Yeah, the power of direct communication is that it's, well, direct and there's no room for uncertainty. And because overthinking thrives in ambiguity, obviously, right? But the solution is clarity through direct conversation. So just ask. Instead of assuming someone's mad, just ask them. Are you mad? Right? A bad approach would be, oh God, they didn't reply, so I'm gonna ignore them now too. If you don't reply, I don't text you. Great, how mature. Better approach would be, hey, you've been quiet, just checking, everything okay? What's up? Do you want to talk about it? Yeah, stuff like this. The key takeaway is that assumption is just fuel for overthinking. And clarity actually means freedom, because then you don't have to worry. So strive for clarity, okay? So my takeaway here, right, for the last 15 minutes that we now talked about this, the thing is, the mind's a terrible place to live alone. And I'm not saying you always should find validation from someone else. No, of course not. But you shouldn't be caught in this overthinking spiral. Yeah, overthinking is not intelligence. Overthinking is self-sabotage. Intelligence is actually recognizing what you're doing and then asking that person that you want to talk with. Yeah, the mind loves to create unnecessary drama. We love soap operas. Yeah, but you do not have to believe in every soap opera that's happening in your mind. Okay, you don't have to believe everything that's happening up there. Your job is to question your thoughts before they hijack your reality. Yeah, in media theories, in media studies, they have like this crazy theory that kind of like explains how reality is not reality because we're influenced by media. And even though we see it in the media and we know it's media, if we take it for real, it becomes reality to us. And it's the same thing with your brain, with your mind. Yeah, your mind makes up stuff that's not real. But if you take it for real, it becomes reality. So hey, maybe that other person is mad at me because that's why he, she, they, them aren't replying. In reality, they're not mad, but you think they're mad, then you act like they're mad, and then they will be mad at you because you act like it, right? So do not overthink. Question your thoughts before they hijack your reality, okay? Before they become a self-fulfilling prophecy, okay? So I'm closing this podcast episode now, but a challenge to you. And next time you catch yourself spiraling with your thoughts, pause, stop, have time. Pause and ask, do I actually have proof? Or am I now just assuming? I had to quote Ted Lasso, you know what you say about assuming you're making an hours out of. Doesn't work with American and English. Start replacing what if they're mad with what is actually happening. Okay, that's a very helpful tool. It sounds very easy, I agree, but we just have to do it. Yeah, stop assuming. Okay. So one more time to close. Your friend, girlfriend, and so on is not secretly hating you. They just forgot their phone in the bathroom, they didn't charge it, they're sleeping, they're commuting, they're exercising, they're working. Okay. So that said, as always, I'd be curious to hear like, how are you handling this? Or like, did this happen to you? And then what did you do? Like, what is, for example, you don't have to share like the crazy sad stuff, but what's the dumbest thing you ever overthought? Share on social media at FunkitPod or via comments on the podcast on Spotify would be cool to hear. And the next time you overthinking, use the pause and the 5-second rule and let us know, did it work? You calm down, you're like, okay, hey, this won't matter in 6 months from now, so I'm gonna calm down now, I'm gonna think about it for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, okay, that's enough. Let's move on. How did it work for you? Let us know again at FunkitPod on social media, funkitpod@gmail.com, or comments right on Spotify. That always helps as well. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, rate this thing. If you listened until the end now, then you're one of the OGs and I appreciate you very much. Please do share and leave a sub if you haven't subbed already. It would be very helpful. Until next week, when we talk about more thought patterns that we hopefully figure out how to break together. Until then, stay safe, take care. We talk soon. Sawadee